everyone, and welcome to another episode of Top 5 Saturdays Live with me, Chase Lee, and my co-host,
Brian Sutfield.
That's fucking right. And listen, if you're new to this show, what we do is the movies that come out on Friday, we will take an actor, a director, genre, what have you, and we'll make a top 5 list tying into the releases of the Friday. And the cool thing is we do this live, and we don't know what we're going to say. I don't know his list. He doesn't know my list. We keep it under wraps. That way it's a nice surprise for both of us and you guys watching. So with that being said, welcome to the show. And if you have watched every single week, congratulations. You haven't died yet. So thank you for watching. So this week, not a lot coming out. So it was really it was hard and easy to come up with a list because it was hard because, well, there was only one movie, so we were kind of limited to that. There's not really a lot of big names in that movie. I mean, there's a couple, but there's not like, any big stars. Oh, except for one. That would be Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman is in Pan. He plays Blackbeard. I hear the movie's awful. I'm not going to see it, nor do I give a shit. So that is what I think about that. So we're going to do our top 5 Hugh Jackman films. So if you guys are new to the show, what we do is we do our top 5. We'll go back and forth. Brian goes first, and then I go with my 5. He goes with his 4, my 4. And then we'll do our honorable mentions, then dishonorable mentions, and then Brian will reveal what next week's is. And that's how the show is run. So let's just do this. So first of all, I got to say, Brian, do you remember like the first memory of the first Hugh Jackman movie you ever saw?
X-Men.
Same here.
Obviously, I didn't see the first one, The Fear. I was 2 years old when it came out. First one I saw was X-Men 3. We'll talk about that later in this episode. I've always liked Hugh Jackman. I didn't really know he could sing until I was like 13 because I saw him singing, and I'm like, you know what? Wolverine is a great singer. That's amazing. So, I mean, he's not only great, he's a really great singer. I mean, he has hosted the Oscars, which I thought he did a good job of. He hosts the Tonys, and he's a pretty good host. And, he's entertaining in interviews and shows and all that stuff. Like, he's a really good – of course, he's so great as Wolverine, but also he's great with dramas. He's great with comedy. He's a great actor, and I'm glad he's an Oscar nominee. Yeah, no, he's the type of actor to where, like what we were talking about with Ridley Scott last week, Hugh Jackman's versatile. Like, the guy has done literally everything. If you look at his filmography, not only is it a very short filmography, believe it or not, it's very diverse. Like, Hugh has always pick and choose, he'll do his X-Men film, and then he'll go do a random small one, and X-Men, random small one. And that's kind of what he's been doing since the year 2000. So, yeah, he's very versatile, and I love the guy to death. And he's a triple threat. It's like you said, he can sing, dance, and act. The guy is pretty incredible, and I think we can all agree that it doesn't matter what Hugh Jackman does in his career, he's going to be known for Wolverine. Doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter if he wins an Oscar for something else. The guy is going to be known for the infamous Marvel character. Boom, right there on my poster. So let's go into number 5. So Brian, what is your number 5 Hugh Jackman film that you like? All the suspense, holy shit. I'm going with a pretty underrated film that not a lot of people talk about. It's not live, it's an animated film. I'm going with Flushed Away. I love this movie growing up, and I still really enjoy it to this day. He plays a rat. That's amazing. And he gets trapped in the sewers, and then he travels with Kate Winslet, and then you have Andy Serkis here. You got I think Patrick Stewart's in this. Ian McKellen might be in this. I see, like, there's another X-Men actor in this, and it's a really entertaining movie. It's definitely one of DreamWorks' most underrated films. I mean, I think Hugh Jackman pulled off this role very well, and even though they were just voicing, I bought his chemistry with Kate Winslet, and it's a really entertaining movie. It's really funny. It has enjoyable music numbers. The slugs are entertaining as shit. It's a pretty good film. I really, really like this film, and I think it's one of Jackman's most underrated films, as well as one of DreamWorks' most underrated films.
Interesting.
Did you ever see it?
Well, first, before I get to that, I just want to say that most of my dreams nowadays, like 90% of my dreams, consist of a sewer, Kate Winslet, and other X-Men characters. So, it's very rare when Aardman and DreamWorks really capture a dream that I have. I'm sorry. Did that joke land? No, it didn't. So, anyways, I saw Flushed Away. Oh man, did I see it in theaters? I think I did because they actually came out the same year that I started working at the movie theater, 2006. And so I remember I saw it, and I've been a huge fan of Aardman stuff. I love Wallace and Gromit. Chicken Run. Chicken Run is the tits. Like, if you don't know what Chicken Run is, please watch Chicken Run.
Even if you haven't seen Chicken Run, you must know what it is.
Yeah.
And they did go with Shaun the Sheep recently. That was a good addition to their filmography.
Exactly. Like, Chicken Run might be the best thing they've ever done. But Flushed Away is a very good and entertaining movie. Not really my pick, to each his own. Listen, when I tell Brian my number 5, he's going to roll his fucking eyes and go, okay, so you're going to diss my film, but you're going to throw that on there. But yeah, Flushed Away is a really entertaining film. If you like claymation, I think you should definitely check it out. For me personally, it's not my favorite Aardman movie. Brian really likes it, but I do endorse it though, so check it out if you're into claymation. So, we're going to go from animated rats to my number 5, which has got to be, one of those guilty pleasures. It's not a good movie by any means. And it's got one of the best blowjob scenes ever. I'm talking about Swordfish, baby. Now listen. See, Brian just rolled his fucking eyes. Listen, Swordfish is not a good movie at all. But in terms of entertainment, I've seen that movie so many times. And you want to see Hugh Jackman play a hacker? This is your only chance to do it. Right there is Swordfish. And like the scene I'm talking about, he is trying to hack something. Like, watch the scene. He's trying to hack something. John Travolta is sitting across from him, and is it Halle Berry? Yeah, Halle Berry is giving him a BJ, and he's like, he's got the O face going on. He's like slapping his hands across the keyboard like a fucking dolphin. It's hilarious.
Wolverine and Storm are doing the nasty.
Exactly, and then like John Travolta's like staring at him, going, "Come on, you can do it. Crack the code." It's just a cheesy action film. Believe it or not, that was in 2001. If you watch the movie, it looks like a 90s movie, but it actually came out a year after X-Men. So Swordfish is a very cheesy action film about some hackers, some FBI agents. It's got some interesting action scenes, and Halle Berry showed her berries for the first time on screen ever. So as a young boy, when I was 11, that was pretty good for me. That was one of the best moments of that year for sure.
You saw Swordfish at 11. I saw Monsters Ball at 11.
Oh Jesus, that must have scarred you. Listen, Swordfish, like I said, not a good film. But if you want to watch like a ridiculous action movie, this is it. And like I said, this is like, it came out right off the heels of X-Men, so this is still fresh. And Hugh Jackman wasn't a really popular name. Neither was really Halle Berry. John Travolta was probably the biggest name in that at that time. So it was just one of those movies that you basically play in the background or get drunk with your friends and watch it. Either way, it's a good-ass time, and I could not put that on my list. So Swordfish is my number 5. So, Brian, what is your number 4?
I'm going with probably the most surprising film of his filmography, Real Steel.
Okay.
Very surprising film. Sean Levy directed it, and he's a very hit or miss director with a lot of people. I thought this was a really, really good film. I love the visual effects. I thought Hugh Jackman was a great lead in this movie. I thought the kid was very good. Surprisingly, not many child actors are good, and this kid had great chemistry with Hugh Jackman. And then Evangeline Lilly, the babe, killing it in this movie. And then Anthony Mackie is awesome here. It's a pretty overlooked film. I didn't expect this movie to be good. I saw this trailer, I remember played during like every single movie I saw between like June and that time when it came out. And I'm like, oh, this movie doesn't look very good. I love Hugh Jackman, but I can't. And then I started hearing good stuff, and I'm like, this movie must be good. And I saw it. I ended up having a really good time. The fight sequences are so well done here. And it's also a very heartfelt film. Like, Hugh Jackman plays a father who just cares about fighting and money. And then when this kid comes up on his doorstep, he has to basically take care of him, and he starts bonding with him. Like, it's a really nice father-son movie, and I love that. I think it's a very good film. I think Hugh Jackman really killed it in this movie, and I really think it's an underrated and underappreciated film, to be quite honest, even though it has a good rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, no, I was just like you. And I'm sure everyone out there that's listening, you probably all felt the same way, where you were bombarded by these trailers, the posters, and you're just like, DreamWorks, please calm the fuck down. I'm probably not going to see this. But you ended up seeing it anyways. And when you did, it's actually surprising. Like, it actually is. It's a nice little movie. And if you want to talk about, you know, one of the biggest gaps in terms of, like, not really wanting to see this, and you come out with, like, your expectations actually soared beyond what was expected. So, I mean, in that regard, it's actually a pretty damn good movie, because everyone goes in not really giving a shit about this movie, and then going out actually being pleasantly surprised. I was actually pretty entertained by it. I thought it was pretty good. It was Rock'em Sock'em Robots on the big screen. Come on. So yeah, it was a fun time at the movies. And once again, I don't know what's up with our list today, but now I'm going to go on the opposite spectrum for number 4. I don't know what it is with Brian picking his and me picking the weird, obscure ones, but I'm going to go for it. My number 4. Now, I've seen it twice, and I really like it. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to say this up front, I am biased because I do love the director to death, and I've actually liked every single thing he's touched. I've seen it twice. It is one of the shortest movies that director has done. It is one of the most confusing ones he's ever done. But if you really just kind of, when you get older and you start appreciating film more and you start seeing more films, you go back and rewatch it, and you can understand where Darren Aronofsky was going in The Fountain. Listen, the best way to describe this movie, it's a love story told in 3 parts: past, present, and future. That's the best way I can describe it, because it's kind of like all over the place. But I mean, it makes sense in the end, well, at least to me. But for me, it was just such a weird movie for Hugh Jackman to do. And I'm so glad that Darren Aronofsky, one of the best directors that we have working, tapped Hugh Jackman on the shoulders, probably in a dark alleyway somewhere, and was like, hey, I want to actually direct you in one of my movies. How would you fucking say no to that? So it's a weird love story told in a unique way. Like I said, one of its shortest. It's like an hour and a half long. It's a weird movie for the director. It's a weird movie for Hugh Jackman. But when you really look at it, it's a beautifully shot, beautifully scored, well-acted piece of weird cinema that's essentially a love story. And that's all I can really... I put it that low on my list because I've only seen it twice, and the last time I saw it was several years ago. But the reason why I put it on my list is because it left an impact on me, and it was really good, but I can't rank it any higher because it's not like super fresh in my mind to where I would feel okay with pushing it further. So I'm going to put The Fountain at number 4. Would I advise you to see it? If you like Darren Aronofsky, sure.
It's the only film of his I haven't seen.
Yeah. If you do watch it, let me know what you think. Good luck. When you saw like trailers for The Fountain and stuff, did it strike you as something?
I never saw a trailer for this. That's the thing.
You never saw like anything for it?
No.
Huh. Well, there's a reason why it bombed at the box office then. So yeah, like I said, it's a weird love story, guys. If you kind of like weird movies and you want to step out of your comfort zone a little bit, watch The Fountain. And really analyze the shit out of it because it definitely deserves it. So with that being said, Brian, what is your number 3?
I am going for my number 3. I am going with
You are terrible at suspense building. You're just standing there staring at people.
What, you couldn't hear the audio?
No.
Fuck.
My God. When people watch this, they're going to be like, why was Brian staring into the camera for like 30 seconds? You're a Lord, kid.
Fuck. I'm going to try it one more time.
Oh, my God. This is why we do this live, folks, because stuff like this may happen. Yeah, you're going to go back and rewatch that, and you're going to be like, why was I just staring into the camera?
Oh, fuck. I cannot believe that happened. I'm so sorry.
Man, Brian just ruined his number 3 like a motherfucker. Like, this is crazy.
I'm going to try again.
Brian, what is it?
No. Fuck.
Can you act out the scene? Can you act out the scene?
I was trying to play Who Am I?
Oh.
Who am I?
Okay. So that's your number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So why is Les Miserables your number 3?
That's what John Travolta calls it. Okay, Les Mis. All right. Now, I was probably one of the only people on the planet who didn't know this before going into the movie. I had no clue that this was 100% musical. I thought this was just like your typical musical where there would be songs and dialogue, then song. But it's like 95% musical. And when I started to realize that, I'm like, all right, whatever, I'll go with it. It got better as it went on. Hugh Jackman was amazing as Jean Valjean. He killed it here. I'm glad he got nominated for an Oscar because there were a lot of people that were saying that he might not get nominated because you remember how big that year was. You had Daniel Day-Lewis, Denzel, John Hawkes, Bradley Cooper, Joaquin Phoenix. Like, he didn't know if Hugh Jackman was going to get nominated, and yet he got nominated, and very well deserving. He won the Golden Globe for this, for Best Actor in a Comedy or Musical. It's a long fucking film. It's like 2 hours and 45 minutes. But I just love Hugh Jackman's portrayal of Jean Valjean. I think that's my favorite thing about the movie. And of course the way that the actors sing live on set, which was never really done before. And I adore his singing. Like, God, he is such a good singer. Like, he's so good. I want to see him in more musical films. Like, I think he should do more musical films. And I mean, the story is beautiful. The acting was terrific. I don't think Anne Hathaway should have won the Oscar. That's just my opinion. She was only in this movie for literally like 3 seconds. But and also like Tom Hooper, man, the guy just makes like amazing shots. One time you filmed your show like a Tom Hooper movie. You were like this low at the screen. Yeah, exactly. There you go. You're like this low, and like it's amazing. But no, I love this film. The only thing I don't like is Remain. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He did fine in the movie. But yeah, I love it mainly for Hugh Jackman. Mainly for him and all his solo songs. Like, he's such a good singer. That's why I love this film so much, mainly for him, and that's why I rank so high on the Hugh Jackman list. But it really is a great film.
I have never seen it, so I can't say anything. I mean, I think that was like the only one I didn't see in terms of the Oscars that year, because I remember like I was watching the Oscars and I was like, got my list ready. I was checking everything. I was like, oh shit. I forgot later.
The way you said it, like, why are you pointing? You're like pointing at your dick.
I don't know. I was like, I was pointing at my paper. I was like, oh shit.
Your paper that was on your dick?
I mean, that's where I set all my stuff. I mean, it's just a nice little plank for everything. Hey, ladies. No, like I didn't see Less Miserable. And listen, I'm not
Less Miserable.
I'm not against musicals. I like musicals quite a lot. But there's only like a select few that would like literally make me shell out money to go see it or buy it or whatever.
It was great seeing in the theater though. Like, it felt like I was actually watching a Broadway musical. Like, that's the cool thing about a movie like this. It felt so real. It felt like a Broadway musical. And
that's cool. I'm glad that it was actually good because, I mean, you and I have known each other for a while. You don't seem like that type of guy that's just going to pick any musical out of thin air. Like, there's got to be one that strikes you in the right way, and it seems like this one did it.
It did. I mean, I don't think it was like a terrific film, but like I gave it like a B+. Like, it's just the running time kind of bugged me, and there were some it was really the pacing that kind of bugged me.
Yeah,
That's really the only thing. But
I'll check it out. Like I'm not opposed to it. It's just, can't see everything. But I mean, this is crazy. I'm about to get my third one, but we haven't had anything in common yet. And this is Hugh Jackman. Like, this is crazy. I didn't think that we would be this far apart, but I'll guarantee you at least we're going to have one in common. At least.
yes.
And that might be this one. My number 3. When I went to the theater that day, I didn't know what to expect. I sat down, and I was like, who the fuck is this director? Who is this Denis Villeneuve? And so I remember when the movie was done, I was like, I need to remember that name because this guy's going to kick ass. That would be Prisoners. This movie is something else, man. When you have the combined talents of all the cast members on screen, the director, who is actually a star himself, and Roger Deakins as the cinematographer with the creepy, eerie music. Oh, man, you have one hell of a kidnapping story, my friends. And Hugh Jackman, you know what? If I kidnapped his child, that's probably how he would act. And he will fucking kill you. So it was just a performance that you don't really see much from Hugh Jackman nowadays, where he just really got to go intense. Like, he was going against Jake Gyllenhaal, who is one of the other most intense actors in the business. So you have these two fucking going at it. It's fantastic. Like, did you hear my voice just crack? Brian, do you remember the scene? This is not spoiling anything, folks. Do you remember the scene in Prisoners where Jackman's in the car, he's drinking at the liquor store, and Gyllenhaal. That was so great, man. Like that, I think that was the turning point for me, where I was like, Jackman is a beast in this. And
you keep slamming the steering wheel.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, no, like
you bought him, like he felt like a father, like you just bought him. Oh.
Yeah, you bought him as that father that just wants to go get his kids back. And the thing is, he doesn't care about the law. He's got the parent, mindset where he's like, I just want to get, this fucking creep in jail, played excellently by Paul Dano, who I don't want to ever see him play that role again because it is terrifying.
And he screams like a little girl.
Yeah.
In every movie he's in.
But no, I just, like I said, everything just hits on all cylinders. It's just a really intense thriller, beautifully shot by Deakins. It adds like such a grit and darkness to it, but that's okay because the story is gritty and dark. So that totally works. And this is our first American introduction into Denis Villeneuve, who did Enemy, Sicario, and is going to be doing the Blade Runner sequel. When you see Prisoners for the first time in 2012, or it was
13.
When you saw it in 2013 for the very first time, you were like, who the fuck director is this? Like, I've never heard of him before. Now he's got 3 films in the bag, and the guy's hitting 3 home runs out of the park right now. Like, the guy is unstoppable. So not only is Denis Villeneuve one of the stars of the movie, but Hugh Jackman, along with Maria Bello, Terrence Howard, Jake Gyllenhaal, Paul Dano, it's a stacked cast, but he stands out because he is the main character. And it's like what Brian said. He plays a believable dad, and you just want him to fucking win and just break all the laws. Because his child is gone, and it's like you want to see him succeed. And that's the whole point of the movie. And I'm not gonna lie, the end is satisfying, but it's not as satisfying as I want it to be, if that makes any sense. It was kind of anticlimactic. Like, the movie does this, and then the end happens, and like it kind of stumbles a little bit, and then it kind of just levels out. So I'm not too fond of the ending, just because it felt a little anticlimactic, because this buildup is intense. So I don't know. That'd be for me personally. I'm gonna go ahead and not let Brian talk about it because I already know it's gonna be higher on his list. So Prisoners is number 3 for me. So all right. So okay, this is gonna get fun Because what Brian said last week was we have to limit ourselves to one X-Men movie only. Now, Brian's got 2 slots left. I'm assuming one of them is Prisoners. But here's the tricky part. Which X-Men movie did he choose? I mean, it's only going to be 1 out of 3. It's going to be either 1, 2, or Days of Future Past. Those are the only ones he's going to pick. So, I'm going to try to work my wizardly magic. Brian, for number 2, did you put Prisoners?
No.
Damn, so I'm not going to guess your number 1. I'm assuming that's your number 1. So number 2, okay, is number 2 an X-Men film?
Yes.
We actually might have something in common on our list. Is it? I'm going to go with number 2.
Okay. I'm going to build up something.
Whoa. I'm going to let you guys know right now. Okay, we'll play this little game. At my number 2 slot is an X-Men film. Brian's is an X-Men film. I'm gonna see. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can kind of channel Brian and see which route he can go. Because here's my thought process on how I picked mine. For number 1, you have the very first movie. You have the introduction to him, and it really placed his status on the map in pop culture, and so that's a very good thing. Number 2 is regarded as one of the best comic book movies of all time. Days of Future Past knocked everyone's fucking socks off in 2014. It was a damn good movie. I'm going to ask Brian first. Brian, which one do you think I picked? Because I just gave you those 3 reasons as to which one I would...
Which one do I think you picked?
Yeah.
X-Men 2.
All right, so hold your guess. I'm going to say you picked Days of Future Past.
You're correct.
And you are incorrect on mine.
What?
Yeah, I know. Everyone's shocked. Everyone just dropped their fucking mouths, and I'm going to go
You constantly praise X2.
I do. And here's why I picked the first one. Listen, folks. I think the second one is the best one in the entire series. Just like, why didn't you pick that one? I picked the first one because the first one has marked many milestones for me personally, and probably a lot of people when they first saw this. Number 1, this was the resurgence of comic book movies. Before that, we had Blade. It's not really a strong start to it, but X-Men really solidified this genre and took it to places we never thought we could exist before. Number 2, this was most of our first introduction to Hugh Jackman. He's an Australian, native, and so when he comes over here and he does a movie like X-Men, we don't know who the fuck this guy is. So this is our first, probably most of us, our first introduction to Hugh Jackman. And third of all, he embodied that character. Now listen, I wasn't the most avid comic book reader growing up, but I knew the personality traits of a Wolverine. He was super arrogant. He was confident. He kicked ass. He chewed cigars all the time. The guy was a fucking icon in the Marvel comic book line. So those are the 3 reasons. Oh, and the 4th reason. Like I said in the beginning of this video, this will be his most iconic role he's ever going to be remembered for. And so with that being said, that's why the first one should be on there, because it pretty much solidifies his place in pop culture permanently. So that's why I picked the first one, even though I think the second one's better. But I think the first one is it just solidified so much for me and so much for Hugh Jackman to where I had to put the first one on there. So Brian, I mean, can you kind of get behind why I put that on there?
I understand why, but I just thought that the film you praised more was going to be the one you picked. That's what I personally thought.
Exactly. I had it on there, but I thought to myself, I was like, I gotta do number 1, man. It's
like the whole Toy Story thing when you picked the first Toy Story on your Tom Hanks list because you said that Toy Story 3 is your personal favorite of the entire trilogy.
Yeah. It for me personally, like I said, number one, that was one of the first comic book movies I've ever seen as a kid. I was 10 years old when it came out. Number two, first movie I ever saw Hugh Jackman in. I thought he was excellent as Wolverine. And number three, this is what started it all. This is what started. And I'm not saying X-Men's a bad movie because it's not. I actually like the first two a lot. So if anything, it's okay if I say the first one because I think it's a pretty damn good movie. So I just think for as much as it pretty much solidified in pop culture, I have to put it on there. And it's the one that started it all. The guy's been playing Wolverine for 15 years now. So, I mean, you got to owe it to the first one. You have to put it on there. So, and like I said, it's justified because I like the first one. Now, listen, if I hated the first one, that's a different story. But I like the first two. So, and just a little side note, I like all of them except for 3, Origins, and that's it. Those are the only 2 I hate. Everything else is fine with me. I love the whole X-Men franchise, but the first one is what started it all. So, Brian, I would like you to battle me now and tell me why Days of Future Past is the best one.
Well, for me, the reason why it's the best one was because it was such a comeback to the franchise because no one knew this. I mean, yes, First Class kind of brought back the franchise in a way, but that was a prequel. This was both the First Class cast and the original cast, and the original cast came back. Pretty much everybody came back for this movie, which got me excited. And also, Bryan Singer was coming back to the franchise, which was awesome. When you heard, because originally Matthew Vaughn was going to do this, and then when they announced that Bryan Singer was going to be directed, everyone just shit their pants. Everyone's like, oh my God, he's coming back. But no one knew how it was going to turn out because the film he did before this, Jack the Giant Slayer, not a pretty good film. But then people were like, okay, the marketing's pretty good. We'll see where it goes. Everyone just loved the crap out of this movie. I loved it. It made my top 10 of last year. I had a great time with it. I mean, people ask, why is it that Wolverine has to be the main character? He's always going to be the main X-Men because he is simply the best X-Men. And Hugh Jackman constantly kills it here as his character. Even in Origins of Wolverine, which is not a good film at all, he is still incredible in that film. Like, he still does his best in that movie. I just love seeing the cast together, and I just love that it was a comeback, and Quicksilver was not stupid like everyone thought he was going to be. I was just very surprised by this movie, and I had such a great time with it. I saw it 2 times in the theater. This is the kind of superhero movie I like because, listen, I love the first 2 X-Men films. I think the first X-Men really kicked off the superhero films pretty well, and the second one is definitely one of the best superhero movies we've ever had, as well as one of the best sequels we've ever had. But, like, Days of Future Past, I just love seeing all these characters together, and that's what I love, and I just love what this whole new trilogy began. Like, with First Class, great return to X-Men. Then we had Days of Future Past, which was a solid return with the original cast coming back and the new cast. Like, that's fantastic. And now we got Apocalypse coming out, which I'm so stoked for. I'm really excited for that film. I just love Days of Future Past. I just love it. And the 70s is a period where I like films from. Like, I just love the 70s and stuff. So I just really adored Days of Future Past. And it had so much great drama. It had great humor, great action, great visuals. It's just a great film.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic film, and first of all, it was actually the first movie I saw at the newly built Alamo Drafthouse that we got in Dallas. So thank you for that. You know what actually got me super pumped for it? Because listen, I've been a huge X-Men fan. Even as a kid, I remember watching the X-Men cartoons, and I have all the X-Men movies. Like, I'm a huge fan of this entire franchise. But as you guys can tell from my posters, I'm a huge comic book nerd regardless. I remember, Brian, I don't know if you remember this, but there was an episode of when it was then called AMC Movie Talk. And I remember when Amy Rose was on there, and she said that she got back from an early screening of Days of Future Past. And she said it's one of the best X-Men movies ever made. Once I heard that pretty much like started me on like the hype train for this movie.
See, I didn't watch AMC Movie Talk then. I think I watched it maybe like 2 weeks after the movie came out, so I didn't.
Yeah, no. Once she said that, that pretty much solidified my excitement for it, and I love the movie, but I have to address this, and I'm sure Brian can. He sees it and it bothered him. He doesn't want to say anything. There's one shot in the movie that bothered the fuck out of me. It was. Do you remember when the Sentinel was on the train and it did that like weird 360 camera movement, and you could definitely tell it was like a.
See, that's a small moment, so I don't really remember that.
Seriously, go back and watch it. Watch the whole movie. It looks great. The visuals are great. It works well with the green screen and what's digitally there and what is practically there. But the train, when the camera goes like around the Sentinel and like comes back out of it, it looks like a 1995 computer graphic. And I'm just like, why? Your budget was $200 million. Please, for love of God, clean that up. Why does that look so fake compared to everything else? Other than that, it's one of the best X-Men movies, period. But that one shot still bugs the living shit out of me, and I've seen it 4 times. So, great choice, Brian. Great choice. All right. I think me and Brian are going to probably yell it out here in a minute. Brian, real quick before we jump into this probably heated argument, is Prisoners your number 1?
Yes.
Okay, so
I'm thinking of your number 1.
I'm gonna let you just catch your breath and get prepared for it, and you're about to get an ass kicking.
I know you're number 1. This has to be your number 1. It has to be. It has to be. If it's not, then I'll be very surprised, because you have talked about this film a lot with me, and you talked about how much you really, 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 really like this film. Obviously, it's not Van Helsing. If it is, I'll be very shocked.
I actually have. We'll get to that in honorable mentions and stuff. But I have a really cool story about Van Helsing, but that's not it.
I know it was. No, because like if you said, yeah, that's fair, I'm like, what? Okay. Your number 1 has got to be The Prestige. It has to be The Prestige.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. The Prestige. I'll kick this one off. I remember when I saw this in 2006, and this came out right after Batman Begins. I saw Batman Begins in the theaters, and I really liked it, and I never saw Insomnia before that. Never saw Memento before that. I have seen them now, but Batman Begins was the first Christopher Nolan movie I ever saw. The Prestige was the second one I ever saw.
Okay.
It is still to this day my favorite one he's ever done. Oh. And listen, that might be a little biased to me because I really like magic a lot, and I've always been fascinated with stage performers and Las Vegas acts and stuff, even though I've never been to one. I online stuff and movies, TV, what have you. I've always been fascinated with magic. And when you go back and look at it, it's like Christopher Nolan is tackling magic. That alone should sell a movie right there. Not only is it gorgeously shot by the good old Wally Pfister, but I really listen. You were saying earlier, and I think this will wrap up all into why I like this one the most, and I think it's actually his best performance. You said that Hugh Jackman is a great singer, dancer, actor. He has been a host. He is basically a showman. What profession other than a magician encompasses that? When you watch The Prestige, he encompasses a showman, and you can actually see it in him, and you believe that this guy is a magician and he's pulling this illusion on you. So not only do you have that, but you're going against Christian Bale, which is already a plus.
Batman versus Wolverine.
Yeah, that's
like the greatest thing ever.
You have the beautiful, haunting cinematography from Pfister. Of course, you got Christopher Nolan, bombastic, epic music like always. Now, a lot of people have a problem with the twist. I don't.
See, I don't remember the twist.
I think it's got this really cool, like, science fiction feel to it, set in this, like, olden times.
Okay.
I kind of dig it. Like, it's kind of weird, unique, and I kind of dug, like, the mystical fantasy element about it. So, and plus it deals with magic. So to me, it made sense. If I go back and rewatch it, I might find like some inconsistencies or some plot things that I don't really care for. But I've seen so many times to where I can firmly tell you that it's my favorite Hugh Jackman movie, period. And it's my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, period. And if my English teacher is listening, Mr. Hicks, I was working at the theater. I got the Prestige poster. It was the last one. It was cool. It had ScarJo's face right here. It had Christian Bale on the left, and I think Hugh Jackman on the right. So it was a really cool, like, mysterious poster. I gave it to my English teacher because that was nice. And so he's got that framed in his classroom at my high school. So if you go to Aledo High School and you see that fucking Prestige poster in his classroom, I gave that to him. So and plus, like I said, I might sound biased, huge grain of salt, because I like magic stuff. That could be it. But I had a fun time watching The Prestige. And like I said, for me personally, it's my favorite movie Nolan has ever done. And I like all of his movies. Don't get me, I have all his fucking movies down there at the bottom right there. Like, they're all there. So I'm not bashing on the guy. I'm just saying if I had to pick one right now, it'd be Prestige. So that's why it's my number one, because Hugh Jackman, he's a showman. And I think playing a magician is perfect for him. So, Brian, can you please tell me why I'm wrong, and why would you put Prisoners so high? Now, listen, Prisoners is a great movie, but why would you even completely disregard The Prestige since it wasn't even on your list?
I saw it a long time ago. I don't really remember it very well.
Okay. I don't remember Prisoners very well. I'm kidding. I remember Prisoners very well.
No, see, I don't hate magic, but I don't love it like the way you do. To me, I would agree that The Prestige is a very good film. It's a very good film. It's definitely, I don't know if it's Nolan's most underrated film.
I believe that would be probably Memento, because not many people talk about it.
No, I think more people know about Memento. I think it's either Insomnia or The Prestige.
Probably. Yeah.
I think it's one of those two.
I would agree.
But it's in my honorable mentions. It was in my honorable mentions. It was like right up high in my honorable mentions. But Prisoners, like you said, everything pretty much. I say, I love thriller movies. I'm a sucker for them. I mean, this stuff happens every single day. And honestly, for me, I mean, I'm just a kid, so I don't know what this is like. I mean, I'm the youngest in my family. I have an older sibling, so it's a little different. I mean, if I lost my sibling, a little sibling, I would be devastated. I wouldn't know what to do. And Hugh Jackman played this father so brilliantly, who had so many problems of his own. He had anger issues. He was an alcoholic. He just wanted to get his kid back, and he tried everything he could. Everything, and he fought and fought and fought. And I mean, it's definitely one of the hardest films I've ever had to watch in my entire life, because it's so realistic. It's so real. Denis Villeneuve knows how to capture it, and so does Roger Deakins.
Well, all I was going to say was I think some of the best heroes to root for are deeply flawed. It's like you said, he has anger issues. He's an alcoholic, but at the end of the day, we want to see him succeed and get his his children back. So, I mean, yeah, so that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, and it was such a different performance for him, because all he really done before that, I mean, yeah, he just came off Les Mis, he just came off The Wolverine, and, this is the kind of performance I would like to see more of him. Like, I would like to see him do more performances like this.
Yeah.
And I really hope that he works with Denis Villeneuve again someday.
He probably will.
I mean, a lot of people say he should have gotten nominated for an Oscar. You know, this was a very Oscar-worthy performance, but he really wouldn't have gotten nominated. It was a very stacked year. He didn't have a shot, and also he was just nominated the year before, so I don't know. Like, to me, this is the best performance he's ever given. This is the most realistic performance he's ever done. Now, I mean, I could see where you say that your favorite performance of his is The Prestige, but the best and favorites are different. Like, what to you is his straight up best performance instead of your favorite performance of his?
If I had to put best performance, to be honest, it'd be tied between Prisoners and The Fountain.
Okay.
That favorite movie, hands down, is The Prestige.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
And
it's not like I hate Prisoners, guys. I put it as number 3. So just as a caveat.
Like, this isn't my favorite performance of his. I mean.
It's very, very good. You're right. It's an Oscar-worthy performance. But Hugh Jackman is so good in everything he does. It's kind of hard to pick the best one.
Yeah, exactly. It's just really. But yeah, I really loved this film. Like, it was a really excellent film. I'm just happy that he did something like this. I don't think I mean, yeah, anyone could have played the role of Hugh Jackman played, but he played it so damn well that you just bought him. Like, I just like, that's why it's so high on the list. And like I told you, I'm a sucker for thrillers, and yeah, Prisoners was such a great movie, and I'm kind of like getting choked up because it really hit me. Really hit me. Once the movie ended, it was just so silent. I saw it with my parents, and you know, that's kind of what made it a little rough. It was
because no parent wants to see their kid go through with that. So
absolutely not.
I remember there was a lot of parents at the screening that I saw that, and there's a lot of them that were. It was hard for them to watch and stuff because it's true. Like, you're right. This happens every single day. People get kidnapped. People get murdered and stuff, and we live in this sick, fucked up world, and we hope that won't happen to our future kids, or happen to us and have our parents wear it or something. So, yeah, it's a tough movie to watch, and I think that's the point that Villeneuve was trying to get across. Like, he wants us to make us feel uncomfortable, and maybe that will, after watching the movie, it will change our habits and be more safe and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, maybe he wanted to create an intense movie like that to just be aware of the fact that life is short. Hold on to your loved ones as long as possible, and that's what I kind of got from it. So, if you had to look for a bright message in this gloomy subject, that would be it. So, but hey, listen, I can't knock you for Prisoners, and believe it or not, Prisoners is the only fucking movie we have in common. That's how diverse Hugh Jackman is, and he's so diverse. There's a lot of movies that weren't even on the list. So I have a few honorable mentions. Obviously, I gotta mention X2. It's great. Days of Future Past, great. I actually really like the Wolverine. A lot of people didn't really care for it. I actually liked the whole thing. The ending battle, yes, I can understand. It can get a little cheesy and a little too corny, but overall, I think the Wolverine's fantastic, and I cannot wait for the third one. We'll talk about the other one in just a second, but as far as other honorable mentions, that's really it for me, because I haven't seen Les Miserable. I haven't seen Australia. I haven't seen Kate and Leopold. There's a lot of movies of Hugh Jackman's I have not seen. So besides those X-Men movies, there's really no other honorable mentions I can really mention. So, Brian, what are some of the ones that just didn't really make your list?
Well, obviously, the first two X-Men made the cut. The Wolverine was a very good film, and I agree that the last, 20 minutes were a little but it was a great, straight-up drama throughout the entire thing. That's what made the movie great. And honestly, I know this is just a cameo. I have to give a shout-out to his cameo in First Class. They go up to him, and he's just like, go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
I remember when I watched that in theaters, and that reminds me of the Van Helsing story. But no, I was watching First Class in theaters, and I was enjoying myself. I was like, damn, this is such a good X-Men movie. And I wasn't expecting his cameo because I didn't read anything about it. I didn't know that he was going to be in it. So when they came in the bar, and he's just sitting there drinking and smoking, and Professor X just walks up to him. He doesn't even get a word out. He's just like, go fuck yourself. Like, it's great. What a great cameo. And so, yeah, First Class is definitely it's great.
And then The Prestige is an honorable mention too.
Okay, I mean,
and now just before you get to your Van Helsing stores, I'm just going to talk about the films that I think are okay. Swordfish is okay. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either.
Oh, no one.
I understand the guilty pleasure vibe.
Brian,
but I just
no one likes you.
Funny. And then listen, I know a lot of people shit on X-Men 3, but everyone's like, "Oh, it's a terrible movie. It's like the worst thing ever." No, it's not. Okay, you compare it to the first two. It's not on the same level as the first two. That's because Bryan Singer didn't make it. That's why. It's because he didn't make it. There were some good things about that film. It's just...
Yeah, overall, it wasn't a great end to a trilogy.
No, it wasn't. No. But then, the X-Men franchise came back with Days of Future Past. I don't know why he went to do a Superman movie. I don't get it. He could have maybe done it after he made this. But whatever, it is what it is. And yeah, those are the only films that I think are okay. Now, there's only one film that I'm just going to bring this up briefly. I did not see Chappie. I heard it sucked, and I heard he sucked in it.
No, I'm only putting one movie on the worst list, and I think we all know where this is going. But first, Van Helsing. So I remember it was 8th grade when this came out, and me and my friends went to go see it at the good old Weatherford Cinema. I still remember this. We went, we saw it, and Brian, you saw the movie, right?
Long time ago.
Do you remember
when I was like your age? So that was like 3 years ago.
Oh shit. Do you remember a scene where they were kind of like on a carriage and they went across a bridge and kind of flew in the air for a little bit?
No, I wish I did though.
Okay, so there was a scene in the movie. I don't remember it fully because I haven't seen the movie in forever, and I think I sold it. Thank God. So Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale were on a fucking carriage. They were going across a bridge, and it broke in half, and the horses jumped them up in the air, and they were flying or whatever, and then the power went out because it was storming that day. So the power went out, and I remember the advertisements came up, so it was like the most climactic scene. Hugh Jackman was like, "Hiya, horses, hiya!" And so the horses like fucking get off on the bridge, the power cuts, and then it comes up to this advertisement for dentistry. And I remember the lights stayed on for like 20 minutes, and we didn't do. So I remember we sat there and like this was the funniest part. Towards the tail end, we kind of knew the movie was going to come back on. We're just like, okay, we'll give it a few more minutes. So we were sitting there, and there was a guy in the front. He got up because it looked like he had to go pee or go get something to eat. So he got up and he went towards the bottom of the entrance or the exit to the theater. He turned the corner. As he turned the corner, the movie came back on, and we saw the guy run back into his seat. It was so great because he was probably thinking, all right, I have a window. I have a window to go do whatever the hell I need to go do and come back. And then he's like walking, hears the movie, he's like, shit, like walks back and goes sit down. And then the movie started back up again. And so I didn't know what we missed or whatever. But anyways, that was my Van Helsing story. Worst movie. I don't need to discuss it. When Hugh Jackman puts balls on his neck.
Oh, no.
There's a problem. No. There's a problem with cinema when Hugh Jackman puts rubber balls and a testicle sack, like a testicle ball sack, on his neck. It's movie 43, folks. That's the worst thing he's ever, like, dipped his body in. It's something that just, like, kind of absorbed him and just, like, stole all of his creativity away. And the movie just, like, threw him up and spat him out. See, Brian's throwing up right now because he knows it's such a cinematic masterpiece. Brian, what's your worst?
This.
Listen, movie 43, I don't need to say anything. I'm just going to tell you he's got a pair of balls on his throat. That's
he's got a scrotum hanging from his neck.
if you look closely, because I'm sure everyone did, it's got fucking little pube hairs on it. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. It is a very, very bad movie.
Okay. Oh my god! Wow, that is the worst film I've seen so far this decade. Wow,
it's pretty bad. And listen, me and my friend, me and Josh, we saw this at midnight. I remember this. We went to go see it at midnight because we thought this would be like a big comedy event and like people were going to be there. It was me, him, and 2 other people in the theater. And the only part we laughed at was the PSA for the children stuck in vending machines in the fax machine. That was
I don't want to remember.
That was kind of funny. I'm not going to lie. That was a little funny.
The only things I remember were the Hugh Jackman thing, Chris Pratt having to take a shit on Anna Faris. What? What? Are you? Naomi Watts kissing her son. Okay, first of all, fuck that kid because he got to kiss Naomi Watts. Fuck him. That's disgusting. And then honestly, the only thing I liked in it was the Terrence Howard part. That was the only thing I thought was okay.
Exactly. There was at least one sketch where someone found something tolerable. I found the PSA kind of funny and tolerable. You found the Terrence Howard thing funny and tolerable. So, it is. I mean,
do you not know how long it took for them to make this film? They started filming this movie like 2008.
Yeah.
You know the whole story behind this. What? Okay, guys, if you want to watch like a perfect rant on this video, watch Chris Stuckman's video, Why Movie 43 is Wrong. That's like the best video about that film. And he is so accurate when it comes to that film. Listen,
you're right. This movie's been in the making for years. And when you watch it, you can have that, you feel it. You feel the 2008 raunchy humor sprinkled throughout that. Like, just, woo! Like, it's outdated humor set in, what was it, 2013 it came out? Yeah. Awful. Just an awfully made comedy. And I love comedies, and that was just a strike on my heart.
That was the Citizen Kane of terrible movies.
It really was.
Holy shit. Thank you, Richard Roper, for saying that quote. Now, I have 3 dishonorable mentions. Origins Wolverine is just not very good. Like I said, I do not like Australia. I think that film sucks. I just don't give a damn about Baz Luhrmann. I don't like his films. I really don't. I don't like what he did with Romeo and Juliet. I don't like how he put it in modern day. If you're going to put it in modern day, then use modern day dialogue. Moulin Rouge is okay. It's beautifully shot, but it's like, I don't know. The Great Gatsby just focused more on the visuals than the actual story itself. So, and Scoop, you talking about a movie that he plays a magician in? This came out the same year as The Prestige, or it came out a year before. And he played a musician, and ScarJo was in this movie. It's a very crappy Woody Allen film. It sucks.
Wow. That was pretty impressive. Brian just did like a 3-strike like match on Hugh Jackman's career. That was pretty beautiful. I like that. I've never seen Scoop, never saw Australia. What I can say about Origins is, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's wrong with it. A lot.
Didn't he? Hasn't he like apologized for it?
Yeah,
I think he. Oh, he has.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Origins is pretty bad. And it's like what Brian said. There's a lot of stuff wrong with number 3, but Origins Wolverine is the worst X-Men movie they've ever made. Period. So, yeah, because you can tell it was rushed. I do not like what they did with Deadpool. Thank God they were reviving that. But yeah, listen. Do we knock the guy for Origins Wolverine? Sure. But if you look at the guy's filmography, which is, like I said, it's not actually that much, to be honest with you. If you go on his IMDb page, he really doesn't have that many films as, like, say, like a Matt Damon or a Ben Affleck. Even though Hugh Jackman is A-class quality, the guy doesn't really have that many films. So I think overall, the guy's a home run actor. Like, everything he is in, for the most part, is gold. I want to see him do more things. Listen, we're all going to be sad when he retires after Wolverine 3, playing Wolverine. You know what? Kudos to the next guy that's got to fill that fucking pair of shoes. But you know what? I'm excited to see what he's going to bring in the future. And Hugh Jackman, buddy, we both love you. Here is me and Brian's list for this week. We have a lot of good films on there. I would actually recommend all of these. The only one I haven't seen is Les Miserables. But Brian has seen that, and he vouches for it. But everything else, have a ball, man. Hugh Jackman is an entertaining fucking actor. And he's awesome. So with that said, guys, that's this week's episode. But I don't care what me and Brian have to say because me and Brian, we don't matter. It matters what you guys have to say. I want to know what you guys' favorites or dislikes of Hugh Jackman's career. Comment in the place below my face and let me know. And as always, Brian will introduce next week's top 5. Brian, what is next week and what are we going to tackle?
Wow. You know how I always say that sometimes our list could be very difficult? This is without a doubt going to be the most interesting episode we have done yet. Next week, we are covering the top 5 Steven Spielberg films in our Bridge of Spies.
Okay, this is going to be fascinating because we're going to have a lot of debates because he's done a lot of good ones. He's done a lot of great ones.
And don't expect us to have the typical top 5. Like, everyone knows that there's that typical top 5 Spielberg films list. We might add some of his underrated films, some of his underappreciated films. We're obviously going to add his big films. We can't ignore those films. And honestly, the guy only has like one bad film. One bad film.
Which is?
I'm not going to... 1941.
I never saw that one.
Wow.
Now, listen... I have actually had my favorite Spielberg movie for the past 15 years. So I didn't say anything. That could be anything. So no, I've actually had my number 1 set for a very long time. It's never changed. So
I have my number 1 as well.
Well, listen, my number 1 is set, but I got to tell you, 2 through 5, that's gonna be tough, man. I don't know.
I already made my list. You're definitely not going to figure out, because since we're doing honorable mentions afterwards, you're not going to be able to figure out what I put on my list.
This is going to be tough because, like you said, Spielberg has done good films, really good films, great films. He's batting pretty damn well in his average. So, I don't know, man. This is going to be a tough.
This is going to be so difficult to wait a whole week. God, I just want to do this episode now. That's the thing.
No, Brian, because guess what? It's on Saturdays. In this episode, we're recording on Fridays because we're dumb. No, listen, me and Brian are busy. We're both adults. We do our own shit.
Well, you're the adult. I'm still the kid.
You're pretty damn close to an adult.
Okay, father.
Okay, son, go to bed now. No, listen. Listen, we both have stuff going on in our lives. Sometimes we got to record early, but that's the cool thing about next week is that we got to wait a whole damn week to find out. So, with that being said, guys, I know that's pretty much, I say that all the time. I apologize. If you're playing a drinking game out of this, you're probably dead by now. So, Brian, where can the people find you online?
Twitter at BrianSuts98 and on YouTube at Brian Sutfield.
That's right. And so you can find me on all the social media shit down at the bottom in the link in the description below. The beginning and outro music is done by my friend's band, Fervent Roze. Check them out. They are pretty damn cool. So that will do it for this week's episode of Top 5 Saturdays Live. We did it over Hugh Jackman films. I'm Chase Lee.
I'm Brian Sutfield.
That's fucking right. We'll see you next week for one of the most difficult and hard to guess lists in this show's history, which is only we've only been on for 4 months. So, it is what it is. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Let's play the outro music. Hugh Jackman, he seems like the type of guy that you would want to just have a drink with, so we'll see you guys later.